Now, I do also, like I said, there are things that's concerning, and it's like you can't skim over that, because it is starting to become a concern for lots of people in Canada, and that is the actual cost of living. And the cost of living in Canada is getting higher and higher, and the prices of groceries are going up. Belinda obviously works at a place that they put imported groceries into Canadian retailers, so she works firsthand in the food industry. And there's lots of stuff that the prices are going to again increase dramatically this year, like olive oil, and a lot of the stuff that they import are going to get significantly more expensive this year. So the prices of food is going up. The price of rent is high. Buying properties, the prices are starting to go up again, which I think is a little bit premature, to be honest, because the thing is, everybody's thinking that the Bank of Canada is going to start dropping rates because the inflation is coming down. But the inflation came down and it bottomed out in July last year. And since then, it has been going up every year. What is that guy cutting in front of the truck? Anyway, so since then, it's been going up again. Marginally or small, but it's not going down anymore. It's kind of stuck, and every month it is just like a tiny little bit higher. So everybody thinks that the inflation is under control, and what's been happening is everybody's talking about the fact that the Bank of Canada is going to stop raising interest rates, and they're going to start dropping interest rates this year. So there's a lot of new economic activity happening, and I'm not sure that is actually going to that's actually the best thing. If you look at the last time there was not hyper, but very high inflation in North America and the US and places like that, what happened was inflation went up. They started doing the interest rates, increased the interest rates. Inflation came down, and then it had like a dead cat bounce, or whatever, what you call it. It came down, and then it shot up again, and this time it shot past. And it's the same thing that I'm worried that's going to be happening right now, because what's happening is inflation started coming down. Everybody's talking about rate cuts, and if the rates don't get cut, people are acting like the rates are being cut, have been cut already. Just some of the stats. Last month or in the last 6 weeks, variable rate mortgages. Now, over the last year or whatever, variable rate mortgages, nobody took out variable rate mortgages, because the people that took out variable rate mortgages were in trouble. Now, what's a variable rate mortgage for those that don't know? It means that your interest rate for your mortgage is coupled exactly to the current interest rates or the Bank of Canada rate. So in other words, if it goes up that same month, your interest rate goes up. Whereas the fixed rates is where people fix their rate for a period of time. Sorry, I'm just getting my Google Maps going here. So what happened was, when the interest rate started going up, everybody that had variable rate mortgages kind of immediately felt the pinch, because their payments immediately started going up. So what started happening is, a lot of people stopped taking variable rate mortgages. They fixed their mortgages because they were like, hey, we don't want exposure to this. So variable rate mortgages made up only 2% of the mortgages in Canada for the last, year or 6 months or whatever. In the last 6 weeks, variable rate mortgages shot up to 17% of the new mortgages. That's 15% increase. And why? Because everybody is thinking that, hey, I don't want to fix my interest rate right now. I want to stick to variable, because everybody is saying that Tim Macklin is going to drop the Bank of Canada rates. The rates are going to drop, and if the rates drop, then if I am on a variable rate, my rate is going to drop too. So that's kind of what everybody's thinking. The problem is, what happens if this isn't the bottom? what happens if the inflation does that dead cat bounce again and jumps up and they have to do another one of those big raise increases? What happens then? Then those people are in trouble. Anyway, yeah, so inflation is a topic that I can talk about for too long and it just freaks me out. So I'm actually going to stop there. Let's go back to the rest. So yes, cost of living in Canada is expensive. It's worrisome because, like the one guy said the other day, is the one thing you can know is that the prices of food and stuff isn't going to come down again. Most suppliers, most everybody, you can say inflation comes down. That's great. But the prices of goods never comes down again. It doesn't, because it is now at the level where it is. And the actual wages are not increasing as fast as the inflation increased over the last 3 years. So a lot of people are, worse off. They kind of moved one peg down on the actual scale, I would guess. You were always here and you had this quality of life because that's where your salary afforded you. And now you've just moved one down. And it's not easy to move back up because, everything is going to carry on getting more expensive and your salary might increase, but it's never going to catch up again. So that's a concern. And that's mostly with not lower income people. I mean, it's top management. They give themselves increases that stick with it, but most other people don't. So, yeah, it's an interesting thing. And then, of course, you've got stuff like the taxes. I mean, it's like there's significant taxes in Canada. Significant taxes. Like I was seeing people showing their carbon tax or their bills, gas bills, and they use like $14 worth of gas, but in the end they have a carbon tax bill of, or their bill is $100 and something because their carbon tax is like $60. And then the craziest thing of it all is that they actually, it seems like they're charging the GST on top of the carbon tax. So they add the carbon tax to your bill and then they add GST to everything. So it's like a tax on a tax, which is a little nuts. Not sure exactly how people let that happen. And apparently the carbon tax is set to increase by about 50 or 60% in the near future. It's like, this is just a weird thing. And then of course they have this whole thing going on in the government where they're saying that so they're saying that the carbon tax benefits the people. So the fact that you are paying a tax benefits you, because what they do is they take some of that money and they give it back to people. And I'm like, excuse me, how does the logic there work? So you're charging everybody's ending up paying for this carbon tax because you are charging it on the fuel and everything. So the food is more expensive because the trucker needs to pay carbon tax, the shop needs to pay carbon tax, everybody's paying carbon tax. And then you're taking some of that money and you hand it back to families. And you're telling families that they're going to lose out when if you cancel the carbon tax. That seems a little bit nuts. I mean, the logic there seems a little bit flawed. Maybe it's just me, maybe I just don't understand it. So if anybody understands it clearly, I would love an explanation in the comments, because that does not make sense to me. If you are going to take the money and give it back, then why take it in the first place? And I mean, I know governments, whether it's the Canadian government or any other government, I can only imagine that for every $10 they take, they are not giving $10 back. That I can guarantee you, because there's all these fees and all the operations costs and all of the other nonsense that needs to be taken into consideration. So it's probably likely that by the time they've taken your $10 and they start giving back, then I would be surprised if more than $1 actually comes back to anybody. So yeah, anyway, let's not talk about that anymore.